Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something absolutely fascinating. We are unpacking the architectural blueprint for an AI app named Chole. And what's super cool here is that we're looking at the actual prompt, the specific instructions designed for a development tool called Lovable that lays out exactly how to build this platform from scratch. Instead of just reviewing a finished product, we get to look right under the hood at its raw DNA. We're reading the exact instructions telling the AI how to behave, how to look, and how to interact with us. Let's break down this blueprint and see how this thing actually ticks.
So imagine this. What if you could practice your social skills exactly like playing a video game? I mean, think about it. Think about the physical reactions you get when you're nervous at a party or a networking event. The sweaty palms, the racing heart, the absolute dread of saying the wrong thing. Those real-world stakes can be totally paralyzing. But what if you could level up your real-life conversations in a totally safe, controlled environment, testing the waters without any fear of immediate judgment or those awful awkward silences? Well, the source material we are unpacking in today's explainer is quite literally a roadmap to do exactly that.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Meet Chole, AI Social Coach. The core documentation explicitly defines Chole as a responsive web application designed as an AI social skills coaching platform. And I want to highlight that specific language for a second. It's not just a chatbot. It's actively framed as a coach. That distinction, it's a massive psychological shift for the user. Think about it. A chatbot is just a tool you ask for facts. A coach implies mentorship, growth, and a structured path to actually getting better. It shifts your mindset from just casually texting a machine to actively training for real-world scenarios. Every single feature we're going to look at today revolves around this central mission of coaching.
Moving right along to Section 2, Onboarding and Initial Assessment.
Let's put ourselves in the shoes of someone opening the Chole app for the very first time. They might be dealing with some serious social anxiety, right? They might be nervous just opening the app. So, the prompt outlines an incredibly seamless onboarding process to ease them in. Step 1 is straightforward. Google sign-in or regular username and password. But step 2, this is where a deeply empathetic design choice comes in. The app activates an auto-save session. Why is that such a big deal? Well, if a user gets completely overwhelmed during a roleplay or just needs to step away and take a deep breath, they can just close the app. No stress about losing their progress. It remembers exactly where they were so they can jump right back in. Then, step 3, they hit the homepage dashboard.
And right there on the dashboard, you get the absolute essentials. First off, a really prominent display of user progress. You're immediately anchored with your starting stats. Next, the blueprint requires an easy path to two things: an initial confidence assessment and an initial social skills assessment. This is such a brilliant coaching mechanic because it separates two completely different things. Measuring confidence tracks your internal feelings, how anxious you feel. Measuring social skills tracks your external execution, how well you actually handle the conversation. Because honestly, you might have great skills but zero confidence, or all the confidence in the world but terrible skills. Establishing baselines for both gives the app a highly nuanced starting point.
Section 3, Roleplay and Gamification Mechanics. Let's look at the actual gameplay.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the dual penalty system the prompt outlines. Over on the left, you've got a classic gaming trope, the health bar. The instructions specify this decreases upon incorrect interactions. This taps right into the psychology of loss aversion. We naturally want to protect what we have, right? So watching a health bar slowly drain creates a genuine but totally safe sense of consequence. But then, on the right, we have a pretty hilarious modern addition, a simp meter that fills up when you make conversational mistakes. A dropping health bar could feel a bit clinical or punishing, but throwing in a funny, culturally relevant simp meter, it completely lightens the mood. It keeps things playful and gives you visual feedback without making you feel awful about a misstep. But how does the actual practice work? Well, it relies on dynamic, text-based conversations with interactive role-play scenarios. If you think back to older video games, you'd usually just pick from 3 static dialogue options. You weren't really talking, you were just picking a path. This blueprint demands something totally different. Because it's powered by AI, the conversations are completely dynamic. You're not just passively reading tips. You have to type, respond, and navigate a chat as it unfolds uniquely in real time. It really simulates the unpredictability of a real human being. This unscripted roleplay is literally the engine of the whole platform.
Okay, so what happens when you do it right? The system beautifully transitions from just the good feeling of a nice chat to actual extrinsic rewards. Step 1, you have a successful dialogue. Step 2, the app rewards you with coins. Step 3, those coins convert into virtual gems. And finally, step 4, those gems boost your rank on a point system and leaderboard. Good interactions literally lead to virtual riches. It leverages that classic gamification loop to keep you motivated. Now, it does make you wonder, do leaderboards in an anxiety app foster healthy motivation, or could they add unnecessary stress? The blueprint is definitely betting that friendly competition will drive consistent practice.
Moving on to Section 4, Immersive UX and Environments.
The user interface laid out here is incredibly engaging, and there's a huge psychological reason for that. Instead of just giving you a boring, sterile list of scenarios, which would honestly feel like taking a standardized test, the blueprint calls for a map interface to select simulated locations. It keeps things dynamic with floating chats and interactive live backgrounds. It turns the app from a clinical testing room into a living, breathing world. It completely reduces the cognitive load. You're not dreading a lesson, you're just exploring a map. It keeps you visually immersed and, most importantly, relaxed.
And to really hammer home that immersion, I want to read this exact quote directly from the prompt, featuring animated visual backgrounds and ambient audio to match the setting of each location. See how brilliantly this illustrates the app's vibe? Why is ambient audio a big deal here? Because in the real world, conversations do not happen in silent rooms. They happen with clinking coffee cups, buses roaring by, or loud music pounding at a party. If you choose to practice at a virtual coffee shop, you are going to hear that cafe ambiance. The app simulates real-world sensory distractions, so the confidence you build isn't fragile, it's robust and ready for the real world.
Which brings us to our final takeaway for this explainer. If an AI can simulate the absolute perfect social environment, complete with ambient audio, health bars, and totally dynamic roleplay, how long until virtual confidence becomes real-world charisma? The Chole app blueprint shows us exactly how gamified mechanics and AI can be used to tackle highly sensitive human challenges. It definitely leaves us wondering just how much a tool like this could change the way we interact with one another out there in the real world. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today to unpack this.